What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Crash Bandicoot franchise, starting with Crash Bandicoot 1. As a small disclaimer, guys, for these series of videos we're going to be looking at it from the N.Sane trilogy, so we're not going to be necessarily looking at the original releases of these games, but we are going to be looking at it from the updated version. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this review, and this is for Crash Bandicoot 1. Let's get to it. So, Crash Bandicoot. Just like Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash was a huge part of my gaming experience as a child. When I wasn't trying to stop Eggman from taking over the world, I was trying to collect crystals and gems in Crash 2 on the original PlayStation. My first Crash experience was with Crash Bandicoot 2 and later on 3, Team Racing, and Bash. Crash was definitely one of the major platforming mascots of the 90s and definitely gave Mario and Sonic a run for their money. In terms of Crash 1, I did not play this at all until I was able to buy it on the PSN store on PS3. I remember seeing this game a lot as a kid, but my parents would never pick this one up for me. Maybe they figured since I already owned Crash 2 and 3, this was going to be more of the same. Crash 1 has always been a game I was curious about, so when I finally had the chance to play this, I hopped all over it. So before we get into the gameplay and all, let's talk about how this game even became to be. As most of you know, the original trilogy of games were developed and designed by Naughty Dog. You know, the same company responsible for games like Uncharted, Last of Us, and Jak and Daxter. Well, they wanted to create a 3D platformer that could compete with the likes of Mario and Sonic. They also wanted to take advantage of the Sony PlayStation 3D capabilities, so now Sony had an unofficial mascot in Crash. The story of this game is your typical stop the bad guy, save a princess story. Dr. Neo, Cortex, and Embryo are using these animals for various experiments to create a superpower animal army. The laser did not work as planned on Crash, so he escapes, but his girlfriend, Tana, who has the proportions of an Instagram model, wasn't so lucky, so Crash spends the game trying to rescue her from the clutches of Cortex. Like I stated earlier, I am reviewing the N.Sane trilogy version of Crash 1. It looks better, easier to record, and also have some much needed improvements over the original game. Crash is mainly a run and jump type of platformer. The levels are pretty linear and offer lots of challenge, especially the later levels. Many players claim the N.Sane version is much harder due to Crash being heavier and some platforming not being as forgiving. As someone who has played both versions, I felt this way initially, but as you get used to the new physics, it's not that bad. In this title, Crash has a small moveset. Crash has his classic spin move that will send some enemies flying across the stage. Crash also has the option to jump on his enemies, just like a traditional platformer. If you came to this game after playing the later titles in the series, like me, you may find it a little jarring that Crash is missing his slide move and body slam. Luckily, the levels are designed so you don't really need them, but they would have been a nice touch. So similar to other platformers, there are a couple collectibles in this game. One of the main items are called Wampa Fruit. Think coins in Mario or rings in Sonic. You collect 100 of these and you are granted an extra life. You can also collect gems in this game, which are granted if you break every single box in a level. There are also colored gems that you can collect in some levels, assuming you don't die. Yeah, no thanks. There are also face tokens you can collect to get some extra boxes. This game also introduces Aku Aku, who is there to protect Crash from damage. Think of Aku Aku as, hit points. If you collect 3 Aku Aku boxes, you can become invincible for a short period of time. Pretty cool. The levels themselves range from classic jungle levels, treetop levels, hog riding levels, boulder chases, and many others. The levels offer a nice amount of challenge and variety, and you will die. A lot. The game never felt unfair to me, and when I died, it felt like it was my fault. Maybe I jumped too early or attempted to rush through a platforming challenge that was meant for me to take my time on. The challenge is fair, but can be intimidating to newcomers of the platforming genre. And no, I do not find Path to Nowhere difficult. You just need to take your time and pace yourself. You'll be fine. Trust me. This game also has boss battles. The boss battles can range from either really easy, really annoying, and to somewhat challenging. The final battle is with Cortex, and honestly, I found this battle to be very underwhelming. The boss battles is all about memorizing the boss's patterns and striking when you have an open opportunity. That's pretty much it. If you manage to collect all the gems in this game, you can view an alternate ending. I honestly do not find collecting all the gems in this game that fun or rewarding, so I wouldn't go out of my way for this unless you really want the bragging rights. Overall, Crash Bandicoot is a fun platformer, but I would not recommend this over any of the later games in the trilogy. The later game just does so much better with the fun factor and evens out the difficulty, making those titles more accessible for newcomers. Just like Sonic 1, only play this if you are very curious about where Crash came from and what inspired the later titles. Alright guys, well that's going to wrap up the Crash Bandicoot 1 review. Like always guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking some time out to view this review. Don't forget to leave your comments down below, let me know what you think. And next time we get together, we're going to be looking at Spyro the Dragon 1. So just like I stated earlier, this is kind of like a simultaneous marathon. So we're going to do Crash, Spyro, Crash, Spyro, Crash, Spyro. So I can't wait to review that for you guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.